All right, guys, we're back. Like I said, we're doing discussion videos. Next one here. These are our main topics here. We're gonna be talking about some judge rulings that happened over the weekend, or not this weekend, a couple weekends ago, during the New Jersey regional, as well as I think it was it somewhere in Asia, right? Was it the Philippines?
It was one of the Europe ones, wasn't it?
Oh, was it Europe?
Yeah, it was like one of the Europe ones that has like really low. They have like really low team counts.
Yeah, there was there was a ruling there that was kind of like I don't want to say controversial, but it did spark discussion. I honestly I should have pulled this up and screenshotted some of this before we started recording, but it's too late.
Too late. We're doing it live.
Hell yeah, dude. All right, so it wouldn't be a Burn One cast if it wasn't scuffed as hell. So, and then our final topic will be like online events, especially BRO and issues dealing with that, because like honestly, a lot of these next videos coming out, it's just going to be like us talking and ranting about different things and like how to like move forward as a community. Hopefully we can like make changes or spark some kind of like discussion that will lead to some changes later to, make the community better and like competitive play better and stuff like that. So the first thing we'll start off, like Dean said, I think this was Europe. If we're wrong, someone can correct us in the comments. But there was a judge ruling in top 8 during deck check where someone had like, I think it was like 2 cards in their deck that were foil, or 3.
I saw the list. It was 3 total foils.
Yeah, there were foils and they were bent in a way. It kind of looked like natural curling, because like if you've handled foils for a long time, they do kind of curl up a little bit. And taco is like a common terminology people use for that. And because of that, it was very easy for the judge to handpick those specific cards out. And because in that scenario, it was the judge could handpick the same card out over and over again. And unfortunately, in this scenario, that the cards were all the same card, so it looked like it was like a specific mark card. That person ended up getting, I think, a game loss. Was it a game loss or a complete DQ? Do you remember offhand?
I mean, they were told they're not in top 8 anymore.
Yeah, whatever happened on the ruling, they just got knocked out of top 8 either way. It was super unfortunate, and the person in question did post a big rant out. So if you're in part of the Facebook community, and I think they posted somewhere else too, maybe it was Discord. Yeah, in Discord and stuff like that.
Find their list.
Yeah, they did kind of put it out there, let people know that, and they felt I think it was unfair. Was, if I remember correctly, did they come off of it saying like it was kind of like crappy, or do you remember offhand?
This is like such a weird one. I mean, there was a long post, so I'm imagining regardless of what happened, they were not the most happy campers. Absolutely.
So I guess I'll kind of tell you my thoughts on it, Dean, and you tell me if you agree or not, and then we kind of go from there. So in this specific scenario, as far as like the player's intentions or the judge's intentions and stuff like that, I think due to like how unfortunate this was, I do believe the judge like did what they were allowed to do within their right as a judge. And in a way, I do think they made the correct ruling, though I think it was incredibly harsh of a ruling. I don't know if I would make that ruling personally if I was like a head judge in an event and it happened like this. But due to like the fact that the cards that the judge thought were marked were all the same card, which unfortunately showed a pattern in marked cards, is very unfortunate. But it does lead them to believe there was a chance that this person was cheating in some way, and so they decided to either give him a game loss or DQ them out of top 8 or whatever. And yeah, so that happened. I do believe like it was a very harsh ruling, but I do believe it was fair and within the right of the judge and so forth. And honestly, this is part of the reason personally myself as well is like I tend not to try to use foils at events because I do know they curl. Same reason I don't really use character sleeves at events and over sleeves, because it just adds more onto like the chances of getting like DQ'd or game loss or being accused of marked cards. And I want to avoid that as much as possible at an event. Obviously, if I'm going to locals, I'm going to show up with my max rarity like Konosuba deck in character sleeves or whatever. But in this unfortunate scenario, I do think the judge was doing the right thing mostly overall. What was your takeaway, Dean?
So yeah, the ruling, man, I mean, like, if you look at it, yeah, but so in my mind, I like foils. A lot of people like foils. That's why they cost more, right? You look at his deck list, he played 3 foils total. 2 were the level 1 Slayer from Seven Deadly Sins, and the other one was the stock swap. Okay, think about a Seven Deadly Sins list for a minute. How many old cards does it play that you can foil out? Only those 2. Every new card was in a very, like, those foils he were playing probably totaled like $3, right? Like, I'm thinking about this from like a really, because people are like, oh, it was trying to gain an edge because it was the Slayer. No, the Slayer was a cheap ass card, is the way I look at it. I look at it as these are 2 cheap ass set 1 foils. Every other foil is too expensive. Like, right? I'm imagining it sounded like they were a newer player. And like, right, like, people like bling. I like bling. I spend a lot of money on bling. You spend a lot of money on bling. Like, right, like, we know we like bling. You say you come in with min rarity. I know for a fact. Oh, I guess that's true. You usually do. If I have high rarity cards, I'm putting them in my deck. I'm gonna represent them, even if it's only 1. I'll put it in there, right? But I usually do double sleeves, so I do like character plus over. But like, of course, we talked in the last one. It's very important to get over sleeves that aren't scuffed. That is an important thing to try to take care of. To make sure that nobody thinks that you're cheating, because you don't want to cheat, right? But like I like to represent the things I like on both my mat, my sleeves, and on my cards that I play, and I like foils. So, I think this is really unfortunate ruling where, like, right, newer player playing with Dragon Shields. Dragon Shields are 1 layer. They're not super thick. They don't really hide foils that well because foils will curl, and a lot of people don't do enough. Like, it's really hard to keep a foil straight, right? You got to use like the silica gel packets, and even then, that doesn't always work. So I think this is a really unfortunate thing that would have been actually avoided had he double sleeved. You're like, don't double sleeve, but I think if you double sleeve, that's actually enough force on the card that it doesn't usually show through.
I can agree with that. I mostly don't double sleeve because, like, when I go to events, I don't want to deal with any issues. Like we just got done talking about, where you had to like re-sleeve your deck like 3 times.
I think that's on. I think that's on that oversleeve company more than on like me, right?
Yeah. But like, at the end of the day, it's the player's responsibility to present a deck that isn't marked in any way, isn't like doesn't come off as cheating or anything like that, because it does suck when like you do something suspicious unintentionally that does lead to people to believe that you are a cheater or you are trying to get that edge when you obviously aren't trying to get that edge. And I think one thing too, this is kind of a wake-up call for the Weiss community. I think this is the only TCG I've ever played competitively that's been the most lax on judgment rulings at events. Well, what do you think, Dean, as far as that goes?
I think it is overly lax. This case, I am going to side with the judge just because, like, it's been a multiple round event. It is a card. You think it's marked. It's just like, I think that it was benign. Like, I just like looking at the cards and looking at the list and just knowing how people work. I think it was a benign one. But it is an unfortunate DQ.
Yeah.
And if you're talking about lax, it's I'll bring up the thing later though.
Yeah.
I have something that I want to bring up after we mention some actual lax rulings.
Yeah, I mean, if you've listened to a lot of our tournament reports before, we've had issues where judges were like, yeah, let it rock because, like, who cares? And, like, this was blatant cheating. This is blatant marking. Like, I was at an event where my opponent had marked sleeves. I pointed out to the judge, and the judge said, just have him re-sleeve in the middle of your match. It's fine. And I was like, really? But okay, whatever, dude. It's like, you're the head judge. That's what we decided. I'll just accept that ruling and move on with my day.
Meanwhile, one of my first tournament that I ever topped was in Toronto, and I was borrowing Persona. And in round, like, it was like near the end of like Swiss, I was level 1 and my opponent was like level 3, and they noticed that one of my sleeves is upside down.
Oh, your oversleeve, right?
Yeah, it was the oversleeve. It's the ones with the shitty border. If people have seen the gold border, that's like really shitty, but it was like against you couldn't see it. Like it was actually so hard to see. Like, right, like this didn't get caught by me or anyone else in like 5 rounds. And then it gets randomly caught, and I get instant game lost on the spot. I want you to know that the card that was marked, I was playing Persona, was the 1-0 changer that I play 8 of. And I'm like, what? Why would I mark an 8 of in my deck? Like, what actual benefit would I get? But I got game loss, and I to this day I remember it, and I don't actually like it. It's like a thing where I go, damn, you know, that's on me. That's on me, and that was a mark card, and that's the proper ruling. It should be a game loss.
Yeah, like you got the game loss, but you can't really be too upset because it's actually like a fair game loss. You presented a deck that seemed like it was in a bad marked scenario, right? Which is really funny because that deck you borrowed and you didn't even look at the oversleeves when you borrowed the deck. So it wasn't even you didn't even oversleeve it incorrectly. It was whoever let you borrow the deck.
Yeah, it was unfortunate, but like it happened, right? But like game losses, I think that they should be given out a little bit more. Or Pokemon, if you didn't know, has like they have the secret game loss, which is the 2 prize penalty. Where it's like effectively you lose the game for doing literally anything. They will hand this out on the like for anything, for just the absolutely, if you look at your deck wrong, boom, 2 prize penalty for your opponent. Where your opponent, because in Pokemon you have to take 6 prizes to win the game, and then basically your opponent says, "Oh, I only have to take 4 now." And with the way that the game is actually played, that means that they've basically effectively been handed a free win. In Weiss, maybe we should have a damage penalty. I don't know if that would be abusable. If that'd be like, oh, a free Ricky.
Free Ricky. I need to get level 1 right now. Let me lock over my deck.
Let me just pick up my deck real quick to get that free Ricky. I don't know. Like, I think we need something a little bit better than a warning, because I feel like the judges don't take down warnings, and then that's gonna like segue into our next thing. But yeah, I feel like the judges don't actually properly write down warnings, because I'm gonna be real. There's things that people you fuck up, you come to a tournament. Even me, I've played this game forever. There's been tournaments where I fucked up something procedurally. Usually in a local setting, I usually actually try to be extremely tight in my play at regionals. But like sometimes it's something small. Like, right, I think it was one of my opponents in the most recent tournament. He used a top check 2. Like, right, you give the top check 2 to a card, and he forgot which one he gave it to. And then he thought it was another card, and then so he attacked with the one that's top check 2, doesn't top check 2, and then attacks with the other one. Oh, sorry, you didn't use that one, but you just looked at 2 cards. Judge comes over. Warning. Always call judge. Warning. And, you know, I'm like, hey, don't worry, you're definitely not going to get game lost over this. But it's the thing. It happens. So I think that like saying like everything should be penalized heavily is like probably wrong, but definitely like, you know, hand out those warnings a little bit and try to maintain like good and proper play. And I think that people should be calling judge, but I also think the judges should be taking down names and badge numbers more. I don't know if they all do, but given that our next story, which should we talk about that? Yeah, it's a very clear case if they didn't, right?
Yeah. So I guess I'll kind of set the stage. At the New Jersey Regional, there was a debacle. Debacle, is that the right word? Debacle. I think it's whatever. There was something that was very weird that happened in top 8 that, like, I think a lot of people would give the person a benefit of the doubt if they already didn't have a history in the community of being very suspicious to begin with. So there was if you want the exact story from the person at hand that unfortunately got a game loss in top 8 because of their opponent, you would go check out PGH Weiss Schwarz tournament report video for New Jersey for their team that got 3rd place there. I think it was who was the person? It wasn't Tanner, right? Who do you know?
No.
Dude, I'm an idiot and can't remember names, but yeah, one of their players ended up getting a game loss in their top 4 match against a known person that goes by Stock Swap Games. The the story, how it was presented in their tournament report video, from what I heard from first person counts at the event, I think Dean can talk about it too as well, is because I think he saw it, or at least was there when it was happening.
I was told it in passing.
Okay.
I don't,
So yeah, so obviously kind of take this with a grain of salt from our point of view, because we're a third party, whereas the person that had this happen to is the one who actually explained it on the YouTube channel, as well as there and received the penalty and so forth. Essentially what happened was Stock Swap Games played a memory counter against one of the PGH Weiss Schwarz guys, and didn't tell them that it was a memory counter, or didn't even send your character to memory. So he left the character on board and continued attacking, and then decided to hand encore after the judge was called over for another ruling, this is the most weirdest ruling to call in top 8, because in top 8 I feel like you are supposed to be, especially it's top 4 at that point, you should be.
I want to say,
sorry, go ahead.
I want to interject just for a second. The did not say is something that is unverifiable. I'm trying to be completely neutral.
Yeah. On all things. I can agree with that. But with what the story,
but not telling,
not
telling them, hey, your shit goes to memory, is a little different, right?
Yeah,
it's like you can go, oh, he didn't say it's a memory counter, okay, but then it's like this card got hand encored and then stayed on the board, which is where this thing actually comes up into.
Yeah, so it gets hand encored, and they move on. They keep playing. They move to attacks. He starts swinging with it. The 2/2 is on the board. He starts swinging with the 2/2, and then from what is said in the PGH Weiss Schwarz video, as well as what I've heard through Discord and other people who saw it happen in person, that's when, after he started attacking with the 2/2 and revealed cards off the top of his deck, he called judge and was like, I sent that character to memory, but it's still on the board at that point, which is really weird. Well, okay, so at first I could be like, maybe there was a mistake that happened, but the part for me that makes this story even more confusing is that before the end of the turn where the card was supposed to go to memory, Stock Swap Games called the judge over for the most random ruling of like who has to encore first, which is, I feel like at that level of gameplay, you should know the rules and know how the game works, right? Like, obviously, you can call judge to just to confirm rulings and stuff like that. I've done before where I know for a fact this is how it's supposed to be resolved, but because I'm in top 8 and kind of nervous about the game, I want to make sure the game is played fairly and as cleanly as possible. So I will call a judge over to double check, right? So I totally understand that part. But then letting the 2/2 live that long, and then claiming to the judge that, no, I told him to send it to memory. And if that's the case, you told him to send it to memory.
It was a little slyer than that. It was a slow. I think if in the middle of my attacks, my opponent put in my card and said that should have been gone, I'd be like, what the actual fuck? What he did was he went, where's the 2/2 that was supposed to be in memory? Is like what he did, from my understanding, where it was like after attacks and like a turn cycle had gone by, and then he just randomly goes, where's the 2/2? Where is it? And that's, man, you can't sugarcoat. That's got to be some like weird angle shark cheating, bro.
I try to give a lot of people the benefit of the doubt. Like, I truly do. But when it comes to top 8, I kind of like clamp down on that a lot more. The later it gets into an event, I expect my players to play cleaner, play better, know the rules, right? So the way the story is told, the way I've heard it from multiple people, like a lot of people confirm the same thing that they're saying in the PGH Weiss video, that's what happened. To me, it comes off as he was looking for a way to shark a win through a game loss, like a ruling game loss. And not only that, they do talk about how he keeps his board in such a disarray that it's hard to follow where cards go. And obviously you're here, you play Weiss, you know for a fact that there's a lot of zones that get interacted with and cards are moving back and forth everywhere, right? So you're getting weird scenarios where like cards are moving and you kind of forget sometimes, and if your board is already a mess, it could get lost in like translation basically, right? Because there was at a point, I think, after the game loss was given in top 2, Stock Swap Games team, he ended up getting a game loss there as well for not listening to the judges, because he was constantly keeping his board messy, and the judge was like, hey, you need to be more like, you know, get everything together and like do things properly, don't skip steps and things like that. The judge asked him to do that. He said okay, and then he left cards out of his deck during refresh that should have been back in there, and he already got a warning from the judge for doing it again in top 8. So at that point he was rewarded a game loss. To me, with all of that packaged together in just top 4 alone, feels like there was, at least from my point of view, there was an intent of trying to cheat. There was an intent of trying to like gain an advantage or gain a game win when they shouldn't, like through some sly means or whatever. Like, I will never fault anyone for calling a judge when they need a ruling, when they think something's happening, or they just need to confirm something, right, or whatever. I think that's the player's right, and the judge is there to make sure the game is played fair. But just with the way things played out, it doesn't look good at all for Stock Swap at all. On top of that, he was already a known person in the community to being a very suspicious player for possibly cheating online on BRO. I don't know the full story of that. You would have to talk to someone else. I think the player is Yarbacher, is who called him out on Twitter for being a cheater in BRO. I think like 2 years ago. And with how online is, and we all know how online is, like every card game that's been doing online events has nonstop been catching cheaters over and over again. Vanguard, it happened in Vanguard, it happened in Weiss, happened in did Pokemon have one in online? I don't remember that one.
Pokemon, I don't think Pokemon had online at all.
Okay.
Digimon though.
Digimon online got caught. There was another game too. Was it? Oh yeah, One Piece was caught online too as well. I think there was one more. It was either another One Piece event or something like that, or something where they caught someone online cheating as well.
And like it's different, right? Like, see, the thing is with cheating is like I'm like very focused when I'm like in like an actual regional, sitting across from somebody. I'm watching their hands, I'm watching their cards, I'm watching everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Webcam sucks. Webcam is unbelievably bad. But yeah, but I know that not everybody's on top of it. I know that there was like definitely like some like arguments about how easy it is to cheat. By doing stuff like, you know, just messy, out of sequence. And supposedly this was like a big thing, is like he was doing a lot of stuff with like cards were not like properly being conveyed before they all got sent to stock with Alice, and then like he was told to like resolve his Alice's one at a time, and still was like
not doing that.
Or if he was, like, I don't know, I don't fully know. Like the thing, I didn't get to watch it, so I don't really know. It's all hearsay to me. But it's just this thing where like it very much does sound like everything you could do that would be in a way to confuse your opponent about the actual game state was being done. And that's why I think it's like kind of absurd.
Yeah. Like I said, okay. The whole package of that stuff happening in top 4, which is insane to me. So like, if that happened in top 4, what happened to all the prior rounds? Maybe he didn't cheat. Maybe he did. Who knows? Maybe we're all blowing this out of proportion, right? But like, it's just so, it's the suspicious nature of it all surrounding everything there is just so, it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, it's almost impossible for me not to like think they were trying to cheat. I don't know. And oh god, there was one other thing that was popped in my head when you were talking earlier. That did come up also. What was it?
Bro.
Was it in Bro?
Oh, okay. I want to mention the Pokemon ruling. I don't know if you guys have seen, if anybody's ever seen Pokemon, but I alluded to that 2 prize thing where it's like an insta game loss, right? And this is why I can't believe that we even had multiple warnings in top 8. In Pokemon, in a top 8 stream match, Milwaukee this weekend, actually, as of this recording, this like Sunday, if you go and watch the top 8 match, there's a point where a guy plays a draw 2, and draws the first card. It's the card he needs, and then goes to grab the second card and accidentally lifts the third card and instantly, like immediately slams it down. And then the judge comes over, 2 prize penalty, loses his top 8 match. It was a winnable game until then. And then because he lost game 1, you have to watch this poor man play a game that he was effectively given a game loss for just barely touching his card wrong. Meanwhile, in Weiss, it's like flipping over cards, messy board, like stuff that is actually not allowed in any other game. But you know, why would I guess it's like a free event. I guess it's like what is the difference between what is our equivalent of a prize penalty, right? Like what can we do that would actually hinder the player's gameplay without effectively handing them a game loss? Or should we just be handing out game losses in top 8 when shit like this happens?
Oh, another question. That's what reminds me about it too. This kind of combines the judge ruling stuff as well. So when after I heard the story and everything from the first person source that it happened to, I was very curious about how it's actually ruled in the rule books, because obviously the head judge at the event did give the PGH Weiss Schwarz player a game loss for what happened. When I reviewed the rule book for floor rules later after hearing that story, from my interpretation of the rules, like obviously maybe they interpreted it different, but from what I understand, what I read about the auto effects, it's on the player who uses the auto effects responsibility to convey to their opponent the effect and have them do the effect. Due to how the story was told and how suspicious wording was done in the story of how Stock Swap was like claiming he did say it, but for some reason let it live so long to call after like an entire turn cycle finished. It was, at least in my opinion, it seemed like it was kind of intentional on his end. But how the rules work, since he was responsible for his auto effect that went off on that, and it tells you to look back to the penalties for it. I think it was like you look at 6.4 and it's like some sub ruling there. Then it tells you to go back to like 6.2 to look at on how to resolve it. And how it's written in the rules is that the person who controls the auto effect actually receives the game loss. It wasn't supposed to go to the PGH Weiss Schwarz player due to him not knowing that effect was happening, and it was in control of Stock Swap Games of happening. It was his responsibility to make sure it was resolved correctly, and due to the fact that he didn't keep proper game state, he was supposed to receive the game loss, not PGH Weiss Schwarz, which was unfortunate. At least that's how I interpreted the rulings. Maybe I'm being too unfair here. You guys can obviously go check the floor rules out yourself on the official Weiss Schwarz website, and then, you know, see if my interpretations is correct. If it's not, whatever. Obviously, I'm not the head judge. At the time, if I was head judge, I probably would have given the game loss to Stock Swap Games at that point, due to the fact that it was his responsibility to make sure that his mandatory auto effect did go off. At least that's from my point of view.
Yeah, I'm not 100% certain on that ruling, as I haven't reviewed the rule book in a bit. Probably need to soon, but at the very least, I think that given the fact that I think there was like a warning for messy play and all that, like you should have. And this is why it's important, right? I mentioned that like a guy like saw an extra card, and I immediately called judge, and it's just like, you know, I didn't think he was cheating. He just misremembered his effects, and it's like, okay, well, but like when this happens, like, right, if you were against Stock Swap earlier in the tournament and you called judge, they should have taken down his badge. And while, you know, you get leniency once in a tournament, you get a warning once, and then a judge shuffle or something, right? The idea is that it would happen again, and then you get the game loss, because it's like okay, the first time, okay, you know, we're here, it's a tournament, we want it to be played properly, but also like we're people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you get the first warning, but people need to actually call the judge for that warning, and then it's on the judge to take down the badge number, and then he should have been DQ'd like long before this, I think. But unfortunate for Carmen's group that did not happen. So
yeah, this all kind of goes back to what we were talking about before of how lax Weiss tournament events are compared to every other TCG out there. Even though like
Also free.
Our
price support's insane, but that's only because of the community.
Yeah, well, like we have like obviously this is like a free event, and like we're sure wants people to have fun and come there for that. But we also have crazy price support for being a free event, right?
We don't have crazy price support. We have crazy people that make it crazy. Remember when Key to Climax were $100 and we were happy to get them?
Yeah, that was hilarious. I almost sold my playset for 10K, but I probably should have done it. I don't know why I didn't. But anyway, for the price support is like pretty decent. Like unfortunately, these promo cards that are like very limited become very valuable to collectors. So like we're actually fighting for cards that could be worth anywhere from $500 to $1,000 or even higher, depending on how long you hold, how popular it is, if it's a meta card and so forth. Some people will pay crazy amounts to get their hands on it. So
the card's about $1,700.
Yeah, just because the event is free and stuff, we shouldn't be this laxed at events, especially in top 8. Like I can understand maybe like early in the day we just like, you know, we let things ride a little bit that maybe should have been more harshly punished or whatever. Let it ride, because you know, like the first few rounds, like we have the new players still trying to figure things out because the event is free, so new players will have they're not disincentivized to join these events because they get free stuff for showing up and they get to have fun, right? So obviously new players will make some gameplay mistakes, and I know a lot of veteran players will just be like, hey, like in situations they could call a judge, right? They'll be like, hey, don't do that, you should do it this way because of whatever ruling, right? But especially in top 8, by the time you get to top 8, you need to be playing super clean. And when I say super clean, I mean you should be able to look at your field. Like any person coming by should be able to look at your field and instantly recognize where everything is supposed to be. You should be resolving effects in the proper order, letting your opponent know if you're going to shortcut, like for example, in this case, we'll say Alice. You do triple Alice combo. You let your opponent know, I'm going to pick 3 cards out first to put into stock. Here are the 3 cards. These are the 3 other cards I'm going to be putting into my hand. Let your opponent see them, and then put them into the correct zones they should be in. You need to do things like that. I've been in some of these Weiss events where people will just like play 3 cards down, then pay the stock, and then grab a bunch of stock and throw it into waiting room and discard their hand to pay for effects. And I'm like, what the hell are you even doing? I couldn't even confirm you paid the right amount of stock and discard the right amount of cards to play these effects. You should, like, if you're in a winning position, especially if you're in a winning position, you need to slow down, do things properly so you don't get put into scenarios where people suspect you of cheating. Like, for all we know, because we obviously we don't know 100% for sure if Stock Swap Games was cheating or intended to cheat. Only he knows this. But if you're in that position and you're in top 8, just play clean, so nothing like this happens. So no one around the community can point at you and go like, I think that guy's a cheater because he did some weird shit in top 8 and like got DQ'd out of a game because in top 8 because of that. You know, you want to avoid having any weird doubt casted upon you like that. I just think it's just bad for you, bad for the game, bad for the community, bad for everyone essentially, right?
Yeah.
All right, I think we beat this topic down like to a pulp. You want to talk rant a little bit about BRO and like online events in general? I know we kind of talked a little bit about it.
Bro is so fucked up. Bro is everything like, okay, so like Carmen and like his crew, the PGH boys, they were ranting about how against somebody, especially like that, like doesn't know to look for cheating and isn't like on top of their game, how easy it can be to like try to like irk advantage in a physical event, right? Like playing messy, playing messy, and there's like the zones and everything. And if your opponent's not like on top of their shit, stuff can happen, right? And this is not condoning it. It's actually wait, it's the opposite, right? Condoning is supporting, right?
Condone is to support. Condemn is to not support.
I am condemning cheating, but like, it is a thing that like there are people out there that can do it, and they can probably get it on like especially like the newer players and like the people who aren't on top of it, right? They like Kit said, there's people like they pay stock, and it's like, what if they paid 5 instead of 6? They slam down 3 level 3s and they pay 5 stock, and then randomly they have enough stock for their finisher, but like it didn't math didn't add up, right? Stuff like that, like that can happen just through messy play or by playing fast. And that's why it's important to always make sure you sequence things. But webcam is this cursed ass like format where you can't see anything. Nobody ever has a proper actual viewing angle. You have problems with your internet. There's like just so many opportunities to cheat. And then how do they base the price? Because already, like, right, it's like they come through and they're like, oh, your sleeves aren't official Bushiroad. It's like, yeah, but also his fucking camera sucks. Can maybe just maybe you should have an extra like 5 to 6 inches on each side of your playmat on all sides. And I think there's like some games that have face cam, and even then people are cheating because it's like something simple, like a lag can happen. You're not looking at the screen. There's so many problems with the actual webcam. And then this company puts these promos. We're talking about these promos that are expensive. What if you got 4 of them? There's 21 of these things in the world. There's 21 of this Quince card in the world, and you get 4 of them if you get first. And surprise, surprise, the same guy got first in 2 of these events. I'm not saying he's cheating, but I'm going to say it right now. I don't even care. I don't know this guy. I don't have to know this guy. You don't get first in back-to-back Weiss events in this game. You don't get back-to-back first place in online tournament. I would love to see the VODs. Maybe he's not cheating. Maybe he's not. But I'm just saying, right? There is a minimum $1,000 a card, $4,000 per first place. You know, if you're in the finals, it's $2,000 incentive, right? But you start off with a $4,000 incentive. You whittle it down to a $2,000 incentive. When you're on camera on the last round, right? But if you're not on camera and it's still a top 8 match, you might just be able to be cheating. I don't fucking know. I don't know what you're doing. But you better believe that I think that you might be cheating. And then you have these shitty little piles. There's like so few options for you to actually do things to stop your opponent from cheating in online. And they put these absurd, absolutely absurd price support of, yeah, we made 7 of this card. One, why not 8? Why not top 8 each gets 1? There would be 3 extra copies, and that's not a lot. And you wouldn't have the blatant cheating. Or you'd probably still have cheating, but like it wouldn't be like this thing where a guy gets first place in 2 of these regions. You're like, okay, I'm pretty sure this guy cheated, right? Just because like you wouldn't have this like level, like as much paranoia if it was just top 8, you get 1. You'd be like, okay, good players can top 8. I can believe a good player top 8s twice in the same day. I can't believe a good player gets first place twice in the same day. I'm sorry, I can't. It's not how this game works. And I know that might have been a little more directed than what you were expecting, Kit, but like, by God, I fucking hate these online events. I hate the way they structure this. I hate that they all get funneled in the same guy's hand. And then, like you said, it's like every game has had cheating. Every single bro. The first one, we had that one with the shuffle deblock where the guy didn't know how to shuffle. He's in the finals, and he's like open face shuffling, and the judges are having to tell him how to shuffle. And you know, people are like, "Oh, thing." And it's like, yeah, but this is an online thing where it's already scuffed, and you know, we see open face shuffling in the finals. And it's like, what's going on? And then what was the next one? The next one was Vince. It was the Vince record where like Vince is like out here getting 5 of the Lee Rens or 6 of the Lee Rens, and then they get like sent back to the Aether because Bushiroad doesn't resend them out to the other people. So now we have 15 Lee Rens instead of 21.
Yeah.
And now there's this Quince one. And 8 of the Quince cards went to the same guy. 8 went to the same guy. And you're gonna tell me after Vince that we're gonna believe? I'm sorry. I'm suspicious until we go through the VODs. Unless you have every single game on a VOD, I'm suspicious. That's just me. But like it's so frustrating. Online is so frustrating because it's already a game where you're like, there's so many opportunities to cheat in person, and like it's on me as a player to consistently watch my opponent, make sure they're not. But then you get the shitty webcam, and you get like I'll break performances from people that I don't know how much this guy's taught before, but he's not Clinton. His name's not Clinton Chan, and if Clinton Chan came in and did back-to-back first places, I'd still be a little suspicious, but I'd also be like, damn, Clinton's, he's cracked. Yeah. Or like UA or someone. But it's like this guy. Who is this guy? Where's he from? How many tops does he have?
Yeah, Like, okay, I'm actually surprised how pointed you are about this one.
Because it's online online pisses me off so much, and this prize support with the amount of financial incentive is so upsetting.
Yeah. First of all, I already know for a fact that Bushiroad has like a list of people they don't really want to like. I don't know if they want to associate with or whatever, or it's like it's been described to me as a whitelist. Like these are the only approved people they'll work with. So I hate constantly like having to like criticize Bushiroad like events or Bushiroad staff or anything like that, because like my intention here is not to like just shit on them. I get upset because I want to enjoy my time in this community, and as time has been going on, it's been not very good ever since like the whole lockdown stuff. It's the quality of everything has dropped, and I understand it might take a second to get back up to it and up to like a reasonable standard again, as we readjust and accept new players into our community and stuff like that at these bigger events. But like something that like really turned me off about online games for this, and I think Bushiroad or someone who organizes this stuff should really rethink about like their game plan for online events. So the first time I ever played in an online event that had real prizing, my opponent lied to me about a game state they were in, and lied to me about the number of climaxes that were in their waiting room. And because of that, I made decisions to like close the game out based on that information he gave me. He admitted to me in chat that he lied to me after the game. I showed it to a judge. The judge did nothing about it. It said the game is already over. We can't do anything, essentially. And I was like, well, that sucks. Like, I don't want to play online events anymore because of that alone. Next is like, I barely play online events. I play in the most recent BRO in, I think it was the Australian event. Yeah, because I didn't play in NA. So I played in the Southeast Asia online event because it worked for my time. And at that event, me and my opponent, like in round 3, we had to call a judge due to something wonky happening in our game, which is like, okay, right? But we had 3 judges spectating our game. We called the judge and we're like, hey, can one of you guys help us? No one unmuted. No one said anything. No one DM'd us or anything like that. We had 3 separate judges in our game, like in our game lobby, watching the game that we were playing, and none of them would respond to us. I had to like, we're like, hello. Both of us were very confused. Like, why is no one talking to us? Like, why is no one saying anything? Why are there 3 judges here that are doing nothing? I had to DM another judge that was in the middle of like commentating to get another judge to come in and do a ruling for us. What? Why do you have these fake judges jumping through games and not being able to make any calls or say anything? Like, if I was blatantly cheating in front of them, would they have said anything? Like, it's so weird. And to get back onto the topic Dean was talking about, it's so easy to cheat, or like, you not incentivize, but you like, the temptation is more there for people who are more likely to cheat, who don't like play fairly or honestly. Like, they are tempted more to cheat online because there's so many more ways you can do it. So many ways you can hide it, because there's off-screen stuff and things like that. Like Dean said, almost no one has good cameras. Almost no one has proper setups where you can see everything properly and everything, and like see around the mat and area, so you know they're not pulling cards in from the sides and stuff like that. And after these debacles, whatever, in all these other card game events, even Weiss, Vanguard, One Piece, whatever, people, Digimon, whoever decided to do online events, every single online event has had someone cheating in top 8. Like, at this point, you need to decentivize people from cheating. I think what Dean kind of said earlier is like pretty good. I think they should, if we're going to make a change that could like hopefully prevent this a little bit more, I think at least make all of top 8 have the same pricing for online events.
So like, don't skew it.
The
skew is like what makes it like, that's when you get like, first and second with, for a fact Vince would have had 2 first if he didn't fight Shuffle Back Bo Furry. No amount of cheating is going to help you there.
Yeah. And at the end of the day too, these cheaters not only hurt themselves, they hurt the community. Because like every time now I've said this before, we look at online events and like, I can never truly believe that you deserve that win online anymore. Like before, I used to be an adamant person, like, do these online events, they're cool. It gives opportunity for people who can't normally compete in person to be able to play online and show off their skills. During the whole Vince stuff, I was jerking off Australia a lot, like a lot of good players in Australia. And I know some really good players in Australia that like kill it at Weiss. But then we have people who cheat and like devalue everyone's online winning online tournament success, because now you're forever cast in that shadow of like, did they cheat to get there? Are they a cheater? Online games aren't real because there's half the people you play against are cheating and so forth. It sucks. I hate it so much because I like having these online events. I think these online events are cool, even though I don't like playing in them. I think they're very cool for the community. It gives the community something to watch online, something to get hyped for people who can't travel, who have like families and things like that, or school, so they're limited to like, or have not a lot of income, and they can't afford the $300 trip for a weekend to go to Texas or something to these events. Now they have an opportunity online to play and actually like compete and like maybe, you know, show off that they were able to win and they're actually a really great player. And it's just, I hate the fact that a lot of this cheating stuff takes away from it. So I don't know if you'd be like this, Dean, but personally, I think online events should have no real price support other than like, one, maybe you get like a small trophy or something in the mail, and then two, like if you're gonna give something else, I feel like maybe like, okay, if you win BRO online, you get a buy at any event you want to go to, like that's it. But
buy cards is a separate rant. But
yeah,
I think I don't mind the prizes because the prizing it's a card. It's honestly the community's fault that it even costs this much, right? But it is a card, and the community side has value. I think that just simply saying top 8 gets one, or like something, right? It is enough. It's enough. Like, yeah, cheaters are still going to get some, but it's not going to be funneled like 8 into the same guy's hand, right? It's not going to be as lopsided, where that's like my problem. It's not that like, oh, a cheater cheaters get top 8 in singles. Cheaters probably get fucking first place finishes, second place finishes. Who knows? We can't say. We don't know. Like the only thing I can say is that I don't cheat, right? That's the only solace I can have in this game. But yeah, definitely just like not having the prizing be so lopsided. That's the only real thing. And then I don't know, maybe we need to have the thing that also like I couldn't handle was, by the way, watch this video. It's called Azul GG Pokemon player, best Pokemon player in NA. And he had a video about how declumping and why it doesn't matter, and if you do it at all, it should be seen as cheating. And even if it's not cheating, it should be seen as cheating, right? And these online events, single person puts climaxes at the bottom in a straight line, and then I can't shuffle their deck. So that's another thing. I think the judges need to be cards hit the grave in the order they hit, and unless you're doing something like Goblin Slayer or Christmas Cosme, they should stay in the grave in the order that they're set. And then maybe, you know, we wouldn't have as many suspicions, and I wouldn't have as much of a heart attack when I enter an online tournament and people are slamming the climaxes at the bottom, because in person, I can shuffle your deck. I don't like it in person either. I'll actually usually ask for you not to. But in online, it's actually so tilting that I can't even like proceed with my tournament, right? Like my tournament is ruined because I don't know if my opponent was cheating. And at the very least, I think that by putting climaxes at the bottom in a straight line, even if they're not intentionally cheating, they're just cheating. That is actually just cheating in my mind, because unless you sit there, and I think it's very hard to sufficiently randomize from that. And it's something that's done in like a way that like always construes cheating. So at this point, I'm just going to say, yeah, if you stack climax at the bottom in an online event, especially an online event, I construe that as just cheating in general.
Yeah, I don't want to rant too much on that stuff. I mean, we can save it for
I know.
later.
I'm sitting here. I'm good. Yeah. I'm putting myself on a cross because I don't care.
I'm kind of in your camp though. I very much dislike people who move cards in their waiting room to the bottom of their waiting room, and then they're like, well, it shouldn't matter because shuffle. Well, if it doesn't matter, then why does it matter to you to move it? Like, just because you want to count fast or something. But if you're starting your quote unquote random shuffle with the specific 8 cards always in the same position, I can never truly believe that's random at all. Like, I feel like at that point you're stacking. And like, even people who take the climaxes out and slot them in, I'm like, that's even worse to me. I'm ready to like jump across the table and strangle you to death. Like,
man. And that's why I said, I think like Azul did it probably in a less like inflammatory way than me, because like this is the thing where I actually just don't do online events anymore because of this. So like, I have nothing to lose by saying it, because I've already said that this online event is impossible for me to enter because of like this habit that some people have. And then for some reason allowed. So I think fix up the pricing and like fix up grave interaction a little bit. And I think that then, I mean, we still have problems with webcam and and I know there's definitely people that have like, they get to play in online, and they don't get to like go to regionals normally, like Isis, right? Isis.
Yeah.
Or Kisa.
Yep.
They get to go to these events, and they do well. They do well. And I don't think that they're cheating, right? But
dude, if it came out Kisa was a cheater, it would break my heart. I'm not gonna lie.
I
love that guy.
I believe in him. But like, right, it's like this thing where like, I know he's in like South America, and he's like really scuffed for like, where can you play? So yeah, like online, I don't think it's bad inherently, but I think we need to fix the price structure and the way that we handle like grave interaction and like deck, because the stacks ain't doing it. When the game is built like Magic, where mana weaving or like climax weaving is better than like actual stacking, and then like people are slamming cards at the bottom of their grave, it's like it's instantly, I just feel like I can't win. Like, right, it's like wow, my opponent, unless I'm out here doing the same thing. And here's the thing is, I'm never going to do something that I think is cheating. So I would rather lose than cheat. So that's just me.
Yeah, I agree with that sentiment. Before we kind of close this out, there's one last thing I want to, I guess, talk about these online events too. Something that was brought up was like how some people were complaining like they should lock your tournament to your region, which I'm kind of for that, but not necessarily by region. What I would love to see in these future events, but maybe Boucher won't do it, at least for Weiss, because I think it would kill a lot of these online events. Like the size would drop like by half, maybe, is that I would like to see at some of these online events where you can only sign up for one of them. I don't like, well, I mean, yeah, I don't really like the fact that like we have people who will literally enter all 3 events, or like try to enter all 3 events.
Well, I do that.
I know you do that, but I feel like, I don't want to say it's like unfair, because I don't think it really is unfair, but it does like also like if one of these people who are winning top 8 is a cheater, it stops them from going to other events and cheating as well, because they can only go to one event. But that might be a little too harsh. Maybe we should just keep these like open to anyone around the world. As long as you can fit your time slot in there, you can enter all 3 events if you want. But I know that was just a topic that some people brought up. I don't think a lot of people were for it. But that would be a really interesting thing to do, where you're limited to enter only one of the 3 events. You can't enter all 3 anymore, or you're locked to your specific region for events.
I like the being able to compete in others, right? So it's like you get to see Darcy, you get to see Jarbacher, you get to see like you get to see other people.
Yeah, for sure. So like I said, I don't think it was a very popular idea, but it is something like I think people should consider or think about maybe a little bit. Yeah, like maybe this would help a little bit, but also maybe it takes away from a lot of the like cool things about playing online. Like Dean was saying, like you can play against the, like European players, Australian players, and so forth, and you get to see these people you normally only get to see once a year at Worlds. So I think that kind of wraps everything up. You have anything else you think we need to add, Dean, or do we do good rants in this one?
This is a very powerful one. There's a lot of calling out people.
Yeah, this was a very, very spicy one.
This is
please
this
don't
is
murder us.
Yeah,
yeah. Please don't murder us. I don't know. Like, we're just old men ranting at this point, so it is what it is, I guess. Besides that, though, thank you. If you made it this far, thank you guys so much for joining us. If you're interested in Shadowverse Evolved, we do have a separate Burn 1 channel for Shadowverse Evolved. A link to it is in the like more info section on YouTube or whatever, so you can go check that out. We did recently drop a prediction tier list, as well as we're gonna have a lot more videos coming out. So if you're interested in the game, because it's coming out on June 30th, stop by there, check out our content there, throw us a like, subscribe, or whatever crap over there. Otherwise, you should be in the comments here, you know, chewing our butts out right now for like calling out people of suspected cheating and so forth. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed these ramblings of two old Weiss players just hating themselves and hating everything. We hope to see you in the next videos. We still have a couple more discussion videos. Like I said in the prior video, we are recording a bunch of videos and we're just gonna like slowly release them out. They're gonna be long discussion videos like this. If you guys enjoy this stuff, please like, comment, subscribe, because we do like doing these random discussion rant videos on top of like other normal Weiss content. And I mean, these are fun because like, dude, who doesn't love complaining, right? And who doesn't love having like listening to two people complain all the time and either telling them like, hell yeah, I agree, or these guys are so stupid, or and so forth. So, so if we continue to get positive feedback from this, we will continue doing it. Other than that, we hope to see you guys in our other videos later.